Hello everybody and welcome to more Bandit Survivor, but just with a little bit less effort today. Well, we've actually been having quite a bit of information over the past month, and exciting information as well. Firstly, we covered Survivor UK on the channel, and a bit of the trailer, some of the new information that's came out, and now we have some more information that's coming out. A potential Survivor game, which is going to be very good for a lot of the super fans like myself that have been hoping for a Survivor game. I know that a lot of people in the community have been asking for it and have been waiting for it. The last Survivor game that I really know that we did get, that has prominence, was the one back in the Australian Outback. So it was about 20 years ago when that game was released. I think it's the interactive game. And people did enjoy the game around the time. I think it was pretty good for the time, but when you compare it to modern standards, a lot of that game just does not fit with the modern standards. I remember I was watching some YouTuber play it, and you could just keep on going up to the same person and picking the same dialogue, and eventually they'll just side with you. So it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. And that's mainly the main talking point. You see now why my videos are scripted. The main talking point of this video is going to be how much are they going to delve into background of Survivor. What sort of mechanics are they going to be bringing into this game? How in-depth is it going to be? That's what I am interested in. So I've got 3 articles here. They're all linked down in the description. I don't have perms on this channel yet, so the H and the T for HTTPS will be broken up. So all you have to do is just remove the space and then you can put in the link. So let's have a look at this. So this is made by Jim Norman, which was released on the 17th of July. I'm recording this about a week later, on Thursday, so this is pretty recent. So Survivor Castaway Island, which is what the game is going to be called, makes the leap from TV show to Switch game this October. Now, they do say that it's a Switch game, but as we'll see with this article, it is actually coming to Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC platforms on October the 3rd. So that's the date it's set for. So again, a lot to look forward to in the Survivor sphere. You obviously have Survivor UK that's coming out in autumn time. You now have this game that's coming out on the 3rd of October. Multiple sites have confirmed this. So there's going to be a lot of interesting Survivor content. I'm a bit skeptical about the game, but we'll get more into it in a moment. But at least there'll be something interesting to try out. So we have Eventide Island's got nothing on this. So this is a game based on the reality TV show Survivor, and there's not been any trailer released for actual gameplay yet, which is a little bit concerning. You know, there's only 2 months away and we still haven't got any actual gameplay footage, even footage that isn't final. So that's a bit interesting. It would be nice to let people know that are excited for Survivor the game, what the gameplay mechanics are going to be like, because as far as I know, I've been searching for a bit of a while for information on Survivor the game, and there's only been 4 screenshots, which we will get into because they do have some information in them, fortunately. So the ratings for Survivor, I love this part of the article. I was reading a bit of it before we started recording. They just absolutely bash Survivor in this bit. The ratings for Survivor today might not be like anything like what they were back in the early 2000s, but that hasn't stopped publisher Microids, so Microids is pioneering this project, from getting it on Survivor Castaway Island, a game based on the once popular TV show that will be coming to Switch on the 3rd of October. So multiple times throughout this, they bash on Survivor. They say it's not the show that it used to be, and it was once popular, which, to be fair, if you're talking to an individual that's a bit more casual, especially relating to Survivor, like I've talked to colleagues at work, particularly a colleague who is aware of Survivor, and they thought that it ended years ago. They thought that the show is no longer in the US. But no, Survivor 44 has obviously finished airing on TV. Survivor 45 is going to be coming out, and I believe they finished Survivor 46 as well. So it's still going pretty strong, and it's interesting in the article as well that they talk about how it wasn't anything like it was back in the early 2000s. And there's sort of 2 points I want to bring up. Firstly, yes, it's not bringing in the tens of millions of views as it did back in the 2000s, but again, TV is going downhill. It's more so online streaming and more online websites, and people will be getting their Survivor content, particularly internationally, through sites that don't directly correlate to Survivor. So they're not going to be going onto the CBS website, they're going to be going onto other sites to get their Survivor content. Maybe sites that are a little bit more under the radar. Who would those ghastly people be internationally? You know what I mean? But secondly, yes, the number of people that are watching Survivor has gone down, but I would say there's a bit more of a committed fan base now. Like, there's a lot of people that I know will be picking out this game because they're big Survivor fans. There's individuals that they go back and they do rewatches of Survivor every 3 months, every year, say for example. So there are very big Survivor communities. There's obviously orgs that I talk about a lot. There are these Survivor fan sites, like there's r/edgec, there's r/survivor. You can pretty much go onto any social media and find many big Survivor discussion rooms. Obviously, there's a lot of Survivor YouTubers out there, myself included. So there still is a lot of individuals that are interested in Survivor and a very committed community around it. So, developed by Magic Pockets, Castaway Survivor takes on the same format as the show. You will play as one of 12 contestants, competing in a series of wilderness challenges and befriending campmates to maintain popularity and avoid being voted off. We haven't seen all that much of the game itself so far, as I've been talking about, but we're imagining it will consist of a series of minigame-style challenges interjected by some text-based social drama. So, let's go over this. So firstly, we're going to be playing as one of 12 contestants. So, I'm actually going to be going here to one of our very sacred screenshots, one of 4, remember, okay? This is like gold dust here, guys. So we have a tribe of seemingly 2 tribes of 6 going up against each other. This is down to 5, so maybe this is after an elimination. And they are going to be competing against each other. 3 males, 3 females, it seems like. This is the tribal council set. So that is probably going to be our starting format. Merge is probably going to be final 8, I would say. Just based on my knowledge, although it could be 7 as well with final 2 and a jury of 5. That could also be an option. But we're going to be seeing probably a very late merge in this game. It's going to be one of 12 contestants and your usual Survivor stuff. So you have to maintain popularity and avoid being voted off. So that gives me a bit of hope, because I'm wondering how the mechanics are going to work for like a trust meter. Will there be a trust meter? Will there be a popularity meter? Is there a case of you being too popular and then you get targeted because you're a threat? Or if you don't have enough trust, you get targeted because no one likes you. Do you have to keep that middle ground specifically? And do you get to see those bars or those mechanics that are hidden from the players? Is there things that you can do to bring up trust? Can you, for example, a person, an AI in this game that really values, say, helping out around the tribe, can you do tribe chores to then build up their trust? Is each player going to have their own unique personalities? Is someone that is going to be a little bit more shy? Do you have to take a little bit more time to get to know them? Is there going to be a contestant on the show, say, for example, like a Penny from Survivor Thailand, that sort of contestant that you have to remember the information that they tell you about themselves? You have to relay that information to them. So that will be interesting for the single player mode. And I'm specifically saying that because I'll be getting into other information shortly. So, while there is not much to see, Microids has shared the following information and limited screenshots about what we can expect from Survivor Castaway Island. In Survivor Castaway Island, be prepared to experience the ultimate test of survival. As you navigate the treacherous landscape, you'll need to rely on survival instinct and strategy to remain in the competition. So your usual Survivor stuff. Every decision you will be crucial to your fate. Are you cunning, strategic and ruthless enough to outwit, outplay and outlast your opponents? I wonder where we've heard that from before. During your adventure, look for resources and form alliances. So it's interesting that they specifically say resources, so they might be stemming into the survival aspect of Survivor quite a lot, like making the tribe shelter, maintaining the fire, stuff like that, which I know fans of the show, especially nowadays, see it's interesting in the community because people have been asking for more tribe life on Survivor, but then you look internationally in the likes of Australian Survivor and people say that feels like filler content, especially when you go back and you watch Australian Outback and you look at those reviews on YouTube. A lot of people say there's just too much content talking about tribe life, there isn't enough about the social dynamics. So it's interesting that they bring up specifically look for resources, form alliances with other castaways, and also going back to that resources, not going to let that one slide. On the topic of looking for resources, is there going to be like an energy meter? Can you do better in challenges for your tribe? Can your tribe do better in challenges overall? If you have more food, if you're able to catch fish or go around the island and look for fruit, is there going to be an energy meter that you can add up to be able to increase your odds in challenges? I don't know, with other castaways to survive. But remember that trust is hard to come by in the game of Survivor. Choose your allies wisely and watch your back for betrayals. So I'm interested in the AI in this game. How good is it going to be? Because the Australian Outback, it's interactive game. Again, as I said, you could have someone that just does not want to work with you, and then you talk to them about mashed potatoes, and then they want to work with you. So, mind you, that game was like 20 years ago, so, you know, as I say, the standards can't be too high, but it'll be interesting to see what a modern 2023 game looks like in this. Is the AI going to be really ruthless for players? Like, can you as a player get voted out in your very first tribal council, or is there a grace period? Is the game going to have this unwritten rule that, okay, no matter how much the player screws up, they're a player in the game? We don't want their first experience of this game to be a 10-minute long experience. We'll have to keep them alive for their first tribal council, even if they screw up the trust meter. So we'll see. In team or individual challenges, push yourself to the limit to avoid being voted off the island. So this is more and more looking like a team challenge, like I said. One wrong move and the adventure ends. Your survival is at stake, and only the strongest will make it to the end. Do you have what it takes to be the last one standing and become the sole survivor? So I'm interested here in how far are they going to go with this world building. So let's say, for example, you're an individual that makes the merge, you get booted 5th, for example. You make it quite far into the game, and historically you make it onto the jury phase. And I imagine they're going to be bringing back the jury phases, and you have to use your social connections with jurors, the AI, that end up on the jury to make sure you can win the game. If you get eliminated, do you then have to play the game as a juror? Do you get to watch the final 4 and the final 3 vote outs between AI essentially? Is that round of the game sped up? Do you get a final say if you're voted out while you're in the jury phase? Does the game just end just because you didn't win the game, or do you actually get to be a jury member? That'll be interesting because they both have their pros and cons. Obviously, someone playing this game might just want to win the game, so if they have to sit through several other tribals that they're not a part of on a jury having to vote for basically a robot, I don't think people would like that. But then I feel like other people would be fascinated about being on the jury and being able to have a juror and a vote. So I don't know, I imagine that wouldn't be a mechanic that they would use for the player, in single player at least. We understand that more information about the game is to come soon, so keep an eye out over the coming months before its release later this year. So again, we've got about 2 months, a little bit over 2 months at the time of recording, so it'll be interesting. And let me know your comments down below, because this is something that I think is really interesting. I personally, if I were to imagine a Survivor game, I would like Telltale Games to do it, or I think Skybound Entertainment, Skybound Games, they're the ones that are taking it over from Telltale, because Telltale are really good at having these small decisions and these storyline changes. Well, I mean, they say that your decisions matter, but they don't really in a Telltale game. So I think that would be perfect, because in Survivor you can change trajectories, you can change votes, but at the end of the day, you're only one individual. There's only so much you can do. So I feel like that's why Telltale would be so good, is because they tell these really good stories, and you can sort of change the trajectory of where they go, but at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty much the same story, which I think works for Survivor, obviously. So, Microids is a Paris-based studio that's known for adapting all kinds of properties. In the past few years, the team has brought fans to games like franchises like Black Sad, Smurfs, Garfield, but its most recent announcement might be the most surprising one yet. Today, Microids announced a partnership with Bandit Brands, which I believe is Bandit Comedy, which I know best, which is Bandit Entertainment, which are the individuals that are helping out with Survivor UK. So Bandit, love you guys, okay? You know, if you love me too, you know, you can always put me on Survivor UK 2024, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just keep each other in mind. And is developing a game called Survivor Castaway Island, which is based on the long-running TV show. Survivor Castaway Island is being developed by Magic Pockets, and again, it's coming to all these different sites here. So I've done some looking around, actually, on this site for the prices that it should be. And it's weird because I'm signed in as an individual from the UK. That's what we have here in Northern Ireland. We trade using the pound, the Great British Pound, GBP. But for some reason, when I went to the website, they had it in euros. So I'm actually able to give you 3 different rates for this game. So the Switch games which I looked at, they're about 35 euros, which is about $40 for a game. This Castaway game, and that translates to about £30. So that's quite a lot of money when you think about it for a game. So it'll be interesting. Particularly the thing that I'm most interested in is the replay value. But I'll get to that later when we look at the screenshots. Microids unfortunately didn't reveal any gameplay alongside the announcement. Again, no trailer or gameplay or anything. So again, if you're looking to play this game, or if you have in mind to play the game, maybe hold off for a little bit. Maybe just wait to see what the trailer looks like, what the gameplay mechanics look like, how they talk about the game, and then make your mind up. But did say that Survivor Castaway Island will be the ultimate test of survival. Of course they're going to say that. They mentioned that every decision you make will help decide your fate, and talk quite a bit about forming alliances with other players on the island. You'll also be able to decide between 12 different castaways. The Microids doesn't say if they'll have all the different stats or if they're blank avatars. So I'm sure that character customization is a thing. Definitely for your character, they've got to have that. But can you customize the other characters? That'll be interesting. Also, for this game, I'm just going to say it. I know that I benefit by shouting out this idea. But if you really want to get this game out there, and if you want to get committed Survivor fans to play the game, get some Survivor YouTubers to sponsor this idea. Give them some money, they'll do shoutouts on your channel. It's a Survivor game, so it fits into a lot of their content. They can easily integrate an advertisement and a shoutout into their video. And I don't know about other Survivor content creators, but it'll be something that I would be down to shout out to my fan base, on the condition that I think it's a good game. If it's not a good game, I'm not shouting it out. I don't care about the money, or if it's something in Survivor, that's great. It's great you're making a game about Survivor. It has to be good. Otherwise, I'm not telling my audience about it, on the main channel at least. From the limited screenshots that were released, we can see that challenges will likely play a major part in the survival game side of the game. It looks like they've included some classic Survivor challenges, like the one the castaways jumping from a dock and breaking a hanging pot to get a key. So let's look at these challenges here, because we actually have this one particularly. So this again, I think is going to be one a little bit later into the tribe phase, and this is the Cook Islands Micronesia challenge, the one where Ozzy just he says screw the baton, and he just goes and he punches the tile. So it'll be interesting. Do I have control of all the characters on my tribe during challenges? Do I only have control of my character? Again, is there an energy bar? Will my tribe be able to perform better if I give them more energy? All these questions I have. But it is cool that they're sort of reimagining challenges that are on the show. Again, it's not a direct rip-off. You can see the differences here. It's almost got that Australian Survivor Champions vs Contenders vibe from it being a bit of a bigger ledge. But it'll be interesting to see. And there's another one here as well. Not that one, we'll talk about that in a moment. This one here as well, which seems to be a Final Four challenge. And I'm going to go on a wild guess, and I think, see, this doesn't really seem like Survivor, what I'm about to say, but it makes the most sense. You see here how there's little balls in this guy's basket? I think these are going to be like drop zones for balls. So you see here how this blue ball is jumping down and bouncing around. There could be like ball dispenser pits here, for example. Then you hold it above your head and you have to get balls into your basket, and then it's like a weighing game at the end. Whoever gets the most balls in their basket wins immunity. And I don't know if anyone will be able to relate to this analogy, but it's kind of like the Pokeathlon in Pokemon, where you can maybe push your contestants out of the circle and make sure you stand your ground and you're able to stay there. Maybe it lasts for a couple seconds, so you have to like shove each other out of the way. Or maybe it's like musical chairs, where if you don't have any balls in your basket and everyone else does and they're standing in the circle, then it goes to a 3-person challenge, then it goes to a 2-person challenge, and then whoever gets into the circle in time wins. I don't know. That's just my guesses. Also, it's interesting. if this will be like Fall Guys, where they have a set number of challenges, but it's randomized. So will this always be what I can see as the final 4 challenge, or will this be potentially earlier on in the game? Will this be later on in the game? So going back to my point about replayability, are all the challenges just going to be the same? Is there a final 12 challenge? Is there a final 11 challenge? A final 10 challenge? And every single time when you play the game, those will be the exact same challenges, because that will harm replayability. Or are there challenges that are preloaded, say 10 challenges, and they get randomized every time, so you could play this, say, as the merge challenge, and then the next time you play your game, it might be as the final 4 challenge. I think that could be quite interesting. But let's keep going. Where did I leave off? Yes, there's also a shot of a challenge that looks like it's incorporating digging into the sand, but we'll need to see Survivor Castaway Island in motion to know the true to life everything is. In many ways, it's a bit strange to see a new Survivor themed game in 2023. The show is certainly still popular, but is far from the ratings darling it was in the early days. That said, the show did just get nominated for the Emmy for Outstanding Reality Competition Program for the first time since 2006, so it's likely not going away anytime soon. Plus, seeing Survivor Castaway Island coming from Microid speaks to Survivor's popularity across the globe, with Australian Survivor and South African versions being rating hits over the past few years. So Australian Survivor, very popular. Again, I'll say it again, I think Heroes vs Villains was their best season, and I think they got very good ratings from it. South African Survivor, again, they had their all-star season, and while things behind the scenes haven't been too great for the casual fans, and even for the fans, it's only really the super fans that are a bit irked by the stuff you hear in the podcasts. That also was a good season of Survivor, from a viewing perspective, especially. So let's move into this. So we have this. I'm trying to work out what that is. Is that an animal? I don't know. And then we have this. So again, there's another individual down there. So it seems like we're going to get camp life scenes as well. This might be going out and collecting some stuff, bringing them back to camp. So there could be little mini games there to be able to provide your value as a tribe member and be able to help out around camp. Again, I hope that character customization is a thing. We have this challenge here. So I'm curious if this is just going to be the challenge. If you just have to go up and you have to jump and then hit that and then go back down, and whoever does these 5 first wins the challenge, or is it going to be like a relay course? When you get rid of this, then you have to do a puzzle, say, for example. That's really interesting how many of the switch mechanics are going to be using in these challenges. Will it all be the same, just button mashing, or are you going to be using different elements of the switch, because there is a lot, to be able to make these challenges unique? And how are you going to try and get the person at home feeling the same emotions that they would in a Survivor challenge? Are you going to be kind of adding more physicality into it? Are you going to be letting them move the joysticks to match the motions? That's something I'm interested about. And then we have this here, Tribal Council. It'll be interesting to hear the music as well. So it's good they've stuck pretty much faithful to the Tribal Council thing. You've obviously got the fire there. This reminds me so much of Roblox Survivor. Just everyone sitting down in Tribal Council and being able to vote. So, I mean, Roblox Survivor is pretty good. You have a lot of disconnects, but it's one of the very few reasons I've actually played Roblox. It's just to try out their Survivor. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a game that's going to be promising and if the votes will make sense. Is it going to be, like, how's the AI going to work? Is the AI going to say, okay, well, like, there's this sub-alliance that we can't tell the player about, but these contestants are actually aligned, so they're going to be voting together and they'll be putting down this person's name? Or it's just everyone going to have a randomized vote? Because that's the worst case scenario. It's just everyone randomized voting until you come along and tell them where to vote. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how the AI works alliance-wise. So here's the bio on Meridian Games. Again, it'll be linked in the description so you can check it out. There's also a buy now option. So it's for PS4, PS5 and the Switch. So that'll be interesting for the PS as well, is that you'll have the vibrations from the controller as well. I'm sure they'll use that Do you have what it takes to outplay your mates and become the sole survivor? That's very British slang, I must say. In Survivor Castaway Island, get ready to experience the ultimate test of survival, just like in the TV show. As you navigate the treacherous landscape, you'll need to rely on your survival instinct and strategy to remain in competition. Every decision you make will be crucial to your fate. Are you cunning, strategic, and ruthless enough to outwit, outplay, and outlast your opponents? Look for resources and form alliances. Again, a lot of talk about the resources. And form alliances with other castaways to survive, but remember that trust is hard to come by in the game of Survivor. You choose your allies wisely and watch your back for betrayals. In the team or individual challenges, you'll need to push yourself to the limit and avoid being voted off the island. One wrong move and the adventure ends. Your survival is at stake, and only the strongest will make it to the end. You have what it takes to be the last one standing and become sole survivor. The challenge is on. So same pretty much as we've read before. So let's look at the features. Unleash the survivor in you and embark on the ultimate adventure. Join a team of 12 fearless adventurers and test your skills against the untamed wilderness, just like the hit TV show Survivor. So I know that there's been obviously multiple articles now talking about Survivor's decline in viewership, but if you think about it, it's probably the best time for them to bring out the game, just because there are so many orgs now. Orgs are just on the rise and on the rise. Survivor has allegedly been inspired a lot by orgs, particularly the fire token. Some of its other advantages from Survivor 41 and beyond have inspired Survivor and really its philosophies, and there's been more and more cropping up. So I think that it was a good decision to have in 2023. Obviously you have the most optimal chance to create the best Survivor game, because you'll be able to experiment with a lot of mechanics that you might not have been able to do in the gaming industry 10 years ago, for example. So survive the wilderness, explore the island to gather resources and build your camp from scratch. Find immunity necklaces to ensure your safety during the nerve-wracking tribal councils. I think that means hidden immunity idols. You don't find immunity necklaces, but I'm sure there'll be immunity necklaces for the individual challenges as well. Become the sole survivor. Earn rewards and immunity by performing well in the trials, but be careful not to get exhausted and avoid getting hurt so you don't forfeit. What? Okay, I didn't expect that. So your character can quit. Avoid getting hurt so you don't forfeit. I guess that's the challenges. Your character can quit the challenges? Okay. So maybe around camp, I'm just, because I had a thought process for this. I was quickly reading through these articles. I had a thought process of what it might be. It's constantly changing now. So be careful not to get exhausted. So I'm sure there is going to be some sort of exhaustion meter. It's probably going to be linked to tribe as well. So making sure you're not overworking yourself at tribe, camp, whatever they want to call it. Making sure you don't overwork yourself, but making sure you're putting in enough work so that people aren't going to be voted for you, likely because of your lack of work ethic. That's something I could see them using as a game mechanic. And avoid getting hurt so you don't forfeit. So again, I imagine back at camp you can avoid getting hurt, and maybe if you overexhaust yourself during the challenges. That caught me off by surprise. Outsmart your rivals. Form alliances with cunning strategies. Read your competitors' personalities. Oh, so there's personalities, that's good. Use everything you've learned to gain the upper hand during the intense tribal councils. Be ready to do anything to ensure your survival, even betray your allies. So I'm interested in how they're going to set up the end game. Because let's say you're with an ally who has played a better game than you. It's interesting because I play in orgs, and the analogy I use is like you're in a first-person shooter game. You can only see what you see, and there's things happening around you that you just can't see. Everyone else is a spectator, everyone else is moderating. They're playing this third-person game where they can see everything that goes on, and when a person makes a silly decision, from their first-person perspective, they might think they've made the right idea, whereas in the third-person perspective, they're like, what are you doing? There's literally a guy behind you with a knife ready to backstab you. So it'll be interesting to see if the game gives you hints that someone that you're allying with will beat you at the end, and they're going to be getting the jury vote instead of you. That'll be interesting. So there's personalities as well. I'm interested if it's like Until Dawn personalities. That'll be quite cool. You know how in Until Dawn where they had like bashful and serious and loyal, if there's any of those mechanics that go into it as well, and you can up the bar and you can go down the bar, and if individuals, particularly in the single player mode, will have set personalities for them. Like, is there someone that's going to be a little bit more angry than someone else can get? Is there going to be a person that's a bit more shy? Are there people that are going to be more willing to help around camp than there can be? That'll be interesting. So life in paradise. Enjoy the tropical paradise as you soak in stunning scenery and take in the warm sun. But watch out, you never know when a raw coconut might come crashing. Oh dear gosh. Oh, do not tell me that this is going to be like Crash Bandicoot levels of just, oh dear, do you get medevac because a coconut fell on you? Oh, Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy. Now we're going to have to cut out the final 7 try. You got medevac. Please don't tell me it's like that. Where a contestant, where an AI or myself can get hit by a coconut and end up damaged for a challenge. Is that what they're referring to when they say that you can end up injured for the immunity challenges, avoid getting hurt? There's just raw coconuts falling from trees. Oh dear. Okay, but we're back on track. Multiplayer mode. I've seen this and I'm excited. Think you have what it takes to outdo your friends? Join the multiplayer mode and prove it. Or team up to conquer the world together and see who can come out on top. So I'm interested, okay? Multiplayer mode is a thing. So that's exciting for this game. Because, firstly, you'll be able to play with your friends. And that's exciting. I'm interested in, if you're playing with, say, 2 other people and there's 3 of you, they can't just run a server for you 3, I'm sure. So are they going to have you 3 as individuals and then 9 bits of AI, 9 robots, or are they going to put you into a public server worldwide and you 3 enter and you're playing with 9 people around the world? I think the multiplayer mode is probably going to get a lot more attraction than the single player mode, just because you get to play potentially with people around the world, or you're going to be able to play with your friends, and that's a really cool concept, is that you get to play with your friends pretty much from the comfort of your own home, whatever time you want, with a full system that you can just hop on and play. Because the thing about orgs is that even if there is a really good org, yes, you play it and then they have to take a month out to be able to make the next season. So even if you have this org that you really enjoy, you're stuck there waiting. Whereas there's this game that you can always play all the time. You can play with your friends. I'm actually going to make a pitch. If there's people that are watching this, like Russell Muscle, you watched the last video, I'm making a pitch. If this supports worldwide access, we have a 12 YouTuber showdown on this game. 12 Survivor YouTuber showdown. I would be so down to see what happens there. And it'd be interesting if there's like voice calls as well. I mean, you'll be able to do it in Discord as well, but if you can do it through the game, like if you can send voice attachments, or if it's just text-based for the multiplayer mode. For the single player mode, I'm sure it'll just be text-based, maybe with people being able to speak that have pre-recorded lines. So that'll be interesting. Because that's the other thing as well for the single player mode with AI, is there's only a certain amount of options that they can account for. So it could be similar to the Australian Outback, where you have an interactive mode, but there's only a certain amount of questions you can ask. Like, how far is this game willing to stem to make it real world like if I see another AI isn't doing chores around camp, can I then use that and talk to all the AI about that? If I notice someone, I don't know, maybe being maybe resting down at the beach and being a bit too calm, could I then make an accusation that they have a hidden immunity idol? And that's interesting as well. Can an AI have a hidden immunity idol? Can an AI idle you out? Because that could be also a bit of a BS way to go out, is if an AI has a hidden immunity idol and plays it on themselves, and then you're the only one that gets the vote and you get voted out. Can you orchestrate split votes? Can you orchestrate plurality votes? Can you pull off like minority idol plays? So that's interesting. And how much knowledge are you going to be able to get about individuals voting? That's what I'm interested, because Survivor 44 and more recent Survivor seasons obviously are extremely strategic. You have these voting blocks, you have these minority votes, you have all these contingents. If they incorporate them, like, is there extra votes? Can you play around with extra votes? Maybe I'm being a bit too over the top with my expectations for this game, but it'll be interesting. So I've seen some people online, I don't think it's on this site, I think there's in the comments for this one, about people being a little bit worried about it being a cash grab. And I think it also had parts of it debut in other countries, so I don't know, it'll be interesting. Like, the thing is that I'll be buying the game, and I understand that I'm in a very privileged position where, firstly, money isn't too much of an issue for me, and I'll be able to get the game on the basis that my YouTube channel, my main YouTube channel, makes money. So I'll be able to fit the bill on that channel, basically, and be able to potentially play the game on this channel if it's something that you're all interested in. But if you're a person that you're picking between games, you're saying, okay, I have this money for this month that I can spend on goodies. Do I want to buy the Survivor game, or do I want to buy the new Pokemon game that might be coming out around this time, or this new Mario game, etc. on the Switch? That's where you might want to hold back a little bit. You might want to see what individuals online are saying. And I'd be interested to see if Survivor YouTubers are going to be playing this. I plan to play it. I'll have to get a Switch card as well and so many things, so that'll be more money. Just ignore me having an existential crisis about my funds. But it'll be interesting to see if there's other YouTubers that are going to be playing it, if they're going to be playing it on their main channels, if they're going to be making secondary channels on it. The multiplayer feature, I think, is going to be very fun, and we'll probably get more use from the majority of individuals playing this game, because that's something that's, I think, really interesting, is that you can just decide, okay, we're going to play Survivor, just boot it up, play it with your friends, because that's been something that people have never really been able to do before. But that's my opinion on it. Let me know your comments down below, your opinions. Are you excited for the game? Are you a little bit nervous? Are you apprehensive? Let me know your emotions, let me know your feelings. But thank you all for watching this video. If you are interested in Survivor UK, that is going to be coming out in the next few months as well. Make sure to click this video in my channel, the More Bandit Survivor channel. But thank you all for watching, and peace!